Hey guys, this week I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what God has taught me from buying my maternity belts. Last week I shared with you guys a review on 3 different maternity belts that I have tried out and bought and used, and I wanted to put that up. Sorry, it was a Wednesday video and a maternity thing, but I wanted to put that up so I could have that out there and use that as a little visual for an example for this week. So while I was going through and having to realize, like, okay, I need this back brace, I need the extra support, like, my body is just not strong enough for this. And I knew going into this pregnancy that I didn't have enough time to heal after Toby's birth and before this pregnancy to really have the strength that I wanted before going into another pregnancy. But it was very humbling to have to go and buy a back support / belly support / maternity belt, whatever. But then it was even more humbling whenever the maternity belt that was actually made for it was not working, and I found one at Home Depot, a man's work belt. And it's just a bunch of pride that I have to get over, really. But what happened during that week was I have been going through the Armor of God study by Priscilla Shirer, and that same exact week of buying the back support was the week that we were talking about the belt of truth and how that is the core of our being, and that if our faith or anything is going to be strong, it all depends on that truth and how much we believe in the truth and how much we depend on that, because without truth you don't know what to depend on or anything. And she even talked about like how the different parts of armor are dependent on that truth. Like the next thing is the breastplate, and that rests on the belt. It's like hooked into it. And so if you can't be righteous without your truth, and because otherwise, if without truth, when you're trying to be righteous, you're doing that all on your own. But if you have the truth and you know that you need Christ to depend on to save you, then that is what makes you righteous, is because he's already done it for us. It's nothing that we can do except for believe and depend on him. And I am one who is kind of stubborn when it comes to learning lessons, and I'll expand on that a little bit better next week, because it kind of ties into what I learned whenever I was pregnant with Toby and tying into what I'm learning with the girls. And so it's just, yeah, I'm just a stubborn learner. I don't like to depend on people or on things or on anything. Like, I have, I don't know if it's the American dream thing or what, but I have come to want to be independent and want to do everything in my own strength, and I can't, and God didn't create us to do everything in our own strength. And so all these little voids that I have that I try to fill with entertainment or depending on my husband to fill these voids, they weren't voids that God created for other things or other beings to fill except for him. The only way that I'm going to fill those voids is by depending on Christ. So that has been my lesson of learning with the belt of truth and having a very visual item to go along with it, because I didn't want to get that item. I'm stubborn and I don't like having to depend on other people, although God created me to have to depend on him, and that's a good thing. And so when I can depend on him, it takes all the weight off of me from having to try to make myself look righteous. It takes away that stress of like, I don't have to, like, there's nothing I can do. Like, God has already made me righteous because of what he has done, and he created me and who he is. There's nothing I can do to make myself better except for follow him. And so that was just my biggest thing, like buying that maternity belt. Like, I didn't want to get it. I didn't want to have to depend on it. Like, I know my muscles aren't strong enough to be carrying 2 babies, but by getting the brace and by using it, it has freed me up to be able to do more than I could without it. And that's the same thing with God. By depending on him, by putting my trust in his truth, then that frees me up to be able to do so much more in his power than I can do on my own. I would love it if you would comment below and let me know how you have seen freedom from trusting God with your life and in different areas and everything, and in filling your voids with him instead of trying to fill them with other things that this world has to offer us instead of what God has to offer us. So comment below with a little bit of your journey in that. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to expand on this a little bit more next week. It might make a little bit more sense when I tie it in next week. I just don't want to make this week a really long video. So come back. On Tuesdays, I also do pregnancy updates. I am pregnant with twin girls, identical twin girls, and I'm just so excited about that. We just entered into the 3rd trimester, and every Wednesday I try to do a video of what I've been learning throughout the last week. Sometimes it's a random video, especially because I'm pregnant right now. Sometimes it ties into that a little bit closer than it does with what I've been learning. But come back next week, and I'll see you then. Bye.